Yep. Okay. Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this inaugural episode of Professional Leverage, where in this world we know that change is not an option. So we have our guest today, uh, Alan Ogden. So glad to hear you. I'll give you a little bit of background on Alan. He's a trained pharmacist, formulator, certified nutritional product advisor, a serial entrepreneur. He's also certified in nutrition for sports, as well as a genetic consultant. That's a lot of hats that you wear there, Alan.
It's a lot of hats, yes. And under the pharmacy label, there's a few more things that we could go into there, Marcus, because when I went to pharmacy school in Canada, you came out as a pharmacist. And then if you wanted to do, like, we did not have a PharmD program, a Doctor of Pharmacy program in Canada. That's just been recently brought in. So I went looking for the training that I would have got. So I also trained in geriatric pharmacy, pediatric pharmacy. Those are separate certificates and diplomas that fall underneath my pharmacy degree. And additionally, pharmacognosy. Now, pharmacognosy is actually the original pharmacy. That's taking plants and making medicine from plants. So
I love it.
Yeah, when I graduated, I actually knew how to take plants and make medicines out of them.
I love it. I think we need to go back more to doing that, which we're going to talk a lot about today here as well. So, and you're helping with the Modexus company. So, thank you so much for. So tell us, what got you into becoming a pharmacist?
Well, it's really a tragedy. Out of tragedy was born a dream.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest of four brothers in my family. I'm the only one who didn't live on a farm.
Okay.
So during our life, my father developed asthma. They had to move off the farm, and he became a John Deere dealer. And with that came a lot of travel. And when I was 5 years old, my father was unfortunately killed by a drunk driver.
Oh my, sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And so, being the youngest and not in school, my mom had to make arrangements for me to be taken care of. My other brothers went to school, but she had all these things to settle, a John Deere dealership to sell, etc. So I went and lived with a great auntie for a while in a city, and we were from a town. I went and lived in this city, and while I was there, I witnessed firsthand a murder, which added to the burden, and I got very, very ill. My response to that, not being able to process it emotionally, was to get sick. So my great aunt took me by the hand. We walked down the street. We went into this little store, which I now know is a drugstore or a pharmacy. And we talked to this nice man in a white jacket, and he gave me something to drink, and I felt better. And at age 5, I announced to the universe, I am going to do that someday. I am going to take people's pain away. And I learned that he was a pharmacist. So my dream at age 5, from age 5 onwards, was to become a pharmacist.
Wow. How many people can say at the age of 5, they know what they want to do for the rest of their lives? That's pretty impressive.
It was deeply embedded. And, it's kind of interesting because during my high school years, I wanted a job, and so I looked around. I wasn't able to play sports as a young person. Just my family arrangement wasn't conducive to me playing sports. So I became a hockey referee. Okay. And so that way I got to not only skate and be with my friends and whatever, I got paid for it. So nice. I thought it was really smart that way.
You knew how to leverage both the things you like to do. That's great.
Yeah. And I wasn't really thinking about this, thing that I let out into the universe. And one day after I'd ref this hockey tournament for a weekend, and this friend, actually one of my brothers, walked up to me and he said, "Hey, listen, I'd like to quit my job at the drugstore, but the man won't let me until I replace myself. Would you like my job?" And I thought, well, why not? So I remember this, Marcus, to this day, walking into that drugstore, and drugstores have a very unique odor, very unique ambience about them.
Okay.
And I went, I'm home. Like I feel like I'm at home. I got the job right away. Like I went to work within 15 minutes. I was at work and I was living that dream. And when I went home and said to my mom, "Hey, I got a job at this drugstore," she's like, "Well, you've been saying that for all your life." And I'm like, "I have." And she said, "Yes, don't you remember when you were 5?" And so she reinforced the story. I only had one simple challenge, though. I have a challenge in communication, so I mix up numbers. So it's a kind of like a dyslexia, but it's just more applicable to numbers.
Okay.
So here I'm going to be a science major. Think about this. I'm going to be a science major. So it took me a considerable length of time to get my degree and learn how to work with that challenge and study. And so it took me 6.5 years to get my degree instead of 4. But I did it. And, once you have it, and then once I got it, I thought, well, gosh, I'm on a roll. So then I took geriatric pharmacy. I took pediatric pharmacy. I later took nutrition. And then I became a genetic consultant. And it was because I had learned, I love the movie, The Beautiful Mind. I literally learned how to work with my own mind and what was best way for me to study and learn things and then be able to communicate them to others. So just kind of, I hope that gives a hope to some people that might be listening to this, that they have a dream, that there's probably a way they can figure out to achieve it.
Well, there's a way. Absolutely. If you can believe it, you can and see it, you can achieve it without a doubt. Absolutely. So fast forward here, you obviously went to school, got all those degrees, and then you started your own pharmacy.
So when I graduated, there's a very large company in Canada called Shoppers Drug Mart, and they were really just expanding. You have to do an internship at the end of your pharmacy in a retail setting. And I got to work with one of the most successful franchisees in that business. And they immediately asked if I would like to have my own store. So I went through their training program and I became a franchisee. So for the first 4 years, I worked for this large company. I learned a lot with them, but I always wanted to be on my own. And so the gentleman who I had worked for in high school, he decided that he would like to expand. And we got together, we bought a store together, which I paid him back for. And then I actually expanded on that to the point where when I was about 33 years old, I had 3 drugstores. I had a motorhome dealership. I had an RV marine dealership.
You are a serial entrepreneur. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was a real entrepreneur. I was working 100 to 120 hours a week, but I was doing what I loved. Like time just was there, like it was not hard for me to invest my time into that.
Right.
And then we had this little incident in our life. So Donna, my wife, is a nurse. And I had always said to her, listen, if you want to be the second coming of Florence Nightingale, I'm going to support you, whatever. I think, self-empowerment and achieving your dreams is really important. So she was working at the local hospital in a general, she had worked in cardiology and urology and a bunch of other things while I was going to university. Now she was working just in a general hospital doing her nursing duties. And I was the first independent store in Canada to put scanners in.
Okay.
Right now people walk up to so now people walk up to a self-scanner and they go, wow, this is whatever. Well, I put scanners in. I was the first store. And so it took us about 4 years to actually not only put the scanners in, but to do the inventory, like write the inventory code and get this whole thing working. And Donna, my wife, became very instrumental in helping the coders and helping that progress to the point where it was a usable program, which, by the way, is still used by the company who bought my stores. They took that on and expanded that program for inventory management. But so she was working, I was working, and we had 2 kids. Now, we had kids because we wanted children.
Right.
I think most people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I asked our son at 8 years old to come and work at the store, and he gave me a flat no.
Wow.
No. And I said, what do you mean no? He said, Dad, if I come and work at that store, it's going to eat me up like it's eating you.
Okay.
All right.
Talk
Yeah.
about the
Right.
observation from little ones. Exactly.
So then just shortly after that, Donna and I had our very first real big marital spat. And it was about who needed to be where doing what. And our kids had a teachers' convention. They were off school. And who was going to look after the kids? And so I said to her, listen, I love being a pharmacist. This is my dream. I've been able to do it. But you know what? This is not working. So I'm going to sell the stores and I'll go to work for someone. And she's like, almost fell on the floor.
Wow.
You're
Yeah.
going to work for someone? Are you kidding? You haven't had a job ever. Like
Right.
you've never had a job. What are you talking about? You're going to work for somebody. So I decided it was time to look for options.
Okay.
Now, in looking for, we hear lots about options these days, option trading, etc.
Right.
Well, I actually became a professional trader. I have my professional trader 1 and 2 certificate. So I can trade Forex, I can trade options, I could do all of that.
That's
It
fantastic.
was equally time consuming.
Sure.
It's horrendously time consuming to be in that industry. So when we look at the traditional business concepts that are available to us as professionals or non-professionals, and I consider salespeople to be professionals. There's a,
Without a doubt.
yes, when you've got a really good salesperson taking care of you, whether it's clothing, whatever it is, that person has skills that are really important.
My grandfather used to say salesmen are the highest profession there is, because that's how much he valued being salesmen and professional, the art of salesmanship. So absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, it is a true profession, and it's something that if you can get good at, it can change your life.
Well, just like everything, it's a skill that you have to be taught. So so I put this idea out there that I was going to make a change. I did not know what I was going to do. Because I was easily accessible, pharmacists are still considered the #1 trusted profession amongst professionals.
I did not know
if you
that.
did not know that, that's been about 20 years running. Pharmacists we're also the most accessible healthcare profession in the world. Pharmacies are open 24 hours.
That's true.
You can find a healthcare professional in your neighborhood 24 hours a day, and they're trusted. So that comes with its so I had on call and all that kind of stuff. A lot of things going there. But as having all of that, I was exposed. So people would approach me about different business opportunities. And they come into my store and, Mr. Ogden, how are you doing? What's going on? And I found the latest, greatest this, and I found the latest, greatest that. And I'm, you got to really look at this, and you got to meet my friend. He's making $1 bazillion in this. And I just tuned all of that out. And I would say to them, look, I have 3 stores. I have my family. I've got enough on my plate. If I wanted to do anything else, I had tuned all these people out. Like it was just noise to me, white noise to me. The other thing is, I did not consider myself as a professional pharmacist. I did not consider myself a salesperson.
No, you help people with their health. I mean, you probably didn't look at yourself as a salesperson at all.
No, and if you're a doctor or lawyer or you have a degree, chances are you don't look at yourself as a salesperson. You're providing a service. But if you're not really good at providing that service using sales skills, which are comparable to a sales profession, you're not going to do very well. But I had my shingle on the on the wall there, and I didn't think of myself as a salesperson. So I put it out to the universe. I want to make a change in my life.
Right.
And it's interesting when we put things out into the universe, how things happen. Absolutely. I had a really good friend, and he was a client. He owned the menswear store in the town where we were. His name was Les, and he came into my store one night. It's about 8 o'clock. He closed up his shop and had he was just on his way home, and he came in and he said, "Do you ever think about getting your time back? Like, you're a really busy guy, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I work hard." Well, do you ever think about getting your time back? Like, every day. Oh, well, you know what? I think I know of a way. If you're really interested, give me a call. And he left. That was it. That was the end of our conversation. I went back to work and whatever. And it kind of bugged me, though, that here's this guy. I know him really good. He's got an idea, right, that could service me well, and he's not telling me, right? So a couple of weeks later, Les wanders into my store again, and I said to him, "Hey, what were you talking about the other day?" And he just looked at me and he said, "You'd be interested?" I said, "Les, I work 100 to 120 hours a week. If I can find some way to leverage myself, I mean, I look at my staff, I've got 200 staff, that's leveraging myself, right? That's the way I'm leveraging myself. I've got multiple locations, that's the way I'm leveraging myself. But that is all time occupying. It's not time giving, that's all time occupying. Oh, well, if you're really interested, give me a call. And he left. So then he came back into my store. It was November 4th. And the reason I remember that is that's our daughter's birthday. And I said to him, "Les, dude, come on, what's going on?" And he literally looked at his watch. He said, "It's November 4th. You've got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of inventory in your stores that's no good to you at 5 o'clock on December 25th. You're not going to think about anything. You're not going to take anything seriously till after Christmas. If you're serious, give me a call after Christmas." All right.
Fair enough.
So fair enough. So then in February, Donna and I have this interaction where we're talking about our kids, we're talking about our time, and I make a decision like, you know, that like this is it. I really have to make a call, right? This is going on. We're having these conversations. We've never had them in our marriage before, but we're having them. They're becoming more intense about our time obligations and the family, etc. So I phoned up Les. And I said, "Les, let's get together." He said, "Okay." And we made a lunch appointment.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in this restaurant, if you can imagine, this gentleman sitting across from me. And he's I know him really well. Like, we're good friends, right? And I notice he's kind of sweating a bit. I don't know why, but he's really nervous. That's strange. Like, "Les, you okay?" Yeah. He said, "I'm just really surprised to be sitting here with you." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Well, think about it. You live in the nicest house in town," which is true. "You drive nice cars," which is true. I mean, both our kids had Jeeps to drive. You know, he said, "Your idea of delayed gratification is just how long it takes the dealership to get you a new vehicle. Like, you know, you go order it and it takes whatever time to come."
Right.
I could think of 100 people that would change positions with you. And I'm like, "Well, you send me one."
Exactly.
And I'll change.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'll hire him, and there you go.
So then he said, this is the most unique, this is the crutch of everything right here. He said to me, "Alan, you're a smart man. You couldn't be where you are if you weren't a smart man."
True that.
I said, "Well, that's true." He said, "Can I ask you a question about pharmacy?" "Sure." "Well, did you just decide one day you're going to be a pharmacist and buy a store and be a pharmacist?" I said, "No, I went to university." "Okay. And how long did that take?" "Well, it took a few years." "Okay. So you invested in that to learn the skill that you're using today, correct?" "Yes, that's right." "So if you knew how to get your time back, is it safe to say you would have done it already?" "Yeah, I guess so."
Fair assessment.
"Okay,
For sure.
right, good questions." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I have just one other question I want to ask you first. Why don't you buy another drugstore?" I'm like, "Dude, another 50 people, another 50 headaches, another, no, there's no time leverage in that." He said, "Okay, I just want to make this, I'm just trying to get this straight for myself here, because you're smart and you're successful. So you're not going to buy another store. So you're actually open to another option." I said, "Well, I'm looking. Yes, I'm looking." He said, "Okay, so we've established that, and I'm just doing this for myself. Like, don't take this personally. You're a smart guy. If you would have got your time back you would have done it. I said, yes, absolutely. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I think I found a way, but I'm not really the best person to show you. But I'll try. And so he got out a paper napkin and a pencil, a mechanical pencil. Well, you can imagine how well that worked. And he tried to draw something on there. And I said, dude, this isn't working. Like, he said, okay, tell you what, I'm going to introduce you to somebody that I know. He was the mayor of the town that he lived in. He owned a large real estate business. Okay. And he is now mentoring me on how to get my time back. And if I can, I'm going to make an appointment. Would you show up for an appointment and talk to him? I said, okay, all right, if it works out. He said, okay, I'll see what I can do. And so then he phoned me. It was a Monday. I happened to be in the pharmacy till 9 o'clock. I had one that closed at 6, one at 9, and one at midnight. I happened to be in the one that closed at 9. And he phoned me, he said, hey, good news. I've arranged for this gentleman to come. He can meet at 8 o'clock. And I said, well, that doesn't work. I don't close till 9, right? It's like, 10 after 9 or whatever. He said, just give me a minute. And he come back on the phone. He said, okay, 9 o'clock, but you gotta make this meeting. Like, this guy's come out of his way to make this meeting. Right. I went, okay. So I went and met this person and I sat down, and for the very first time, I saw what time leverage actually meant, right? In this business that most people have no clue what it is. They have an opinion about it. It's usually negative. They don't know the real intrinsic value of a network marketing business. Now, we all have networks, and Robert Kiyosaki said, the size of your income depends on the size of your network. Yeah. Or your net worth is dependent on your network, right? Yep. So we all have networks. Some of them are very small, some of them are very big. Very true. And he showed me how if I could invest 1 hour a week of my time, because I worked 100 hours a week. This guy didn't say, oh, you got to do this 5 to 6 nights a week and yada, yada. No. If you could invest like maybe 1 hour, even half an hour of your time, I can show you how you can leverage that over the next few months to get some freedom. I said, okay, well, how do I do that? He says, first of all, you got to read some books. He said, because you're a smart guy, but you're kind of arrogant. I laugh. I mean, like, okay, this guy's got, but he was right. Okay. Yeah. Like I own 3 stores and I'm pretty happy with myself. Right.
Sure.
So he said, I want you to read a book by Les Giblin called Skill with People. So I read that book. I'm like, this is a really good book. Then he said, I want you to read The Magic of Thinking Big. I read that book. It's like, that's incredible. I never, like, this is opening a whole new world to me. It's all about leveraging, it's about leveraging your time, which is the only thing we all want to control, but we don't know how to do it. Right. So here was this opportunity. So I went back to Les and I said, okay, listen, I'm going to get involved. And I don't even care what it is. I'm going to get involved. I gave him a check for $125 to get involved in this business. I went back to the store. This is the funny story. I went back to the store. I wrote a check to one of my suppliers for that Christmas stuff for $116,000. Oh my. Sent that off to them. And I thought, gee, I gave that guy $125. I wonder if he's going to rip me off. Like, it's just so crazy, right? Right. It's just you don't understand, right?
It just shows the mental biases and the preconceived notions that people have in life in this industry, for sure.
In this industry, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I had them all. So and we got involved, and then I wasn't very good at taking instruction, to say the least. So my first few months in the business were just horrid. Now, most people will quit after 1 or 2, but my drive was so compelling to get my time back and spend it with my kids and so on, that I was willing to go through that. And one day Les sat down with me and he said, listen, here's what I want you to do. I want you to just don't talk to one other person. Don't do anything. I want you to learn how to talk to people. Right? Remember how I talked to you? I want you to take the next 90 days. I want you to go out and meet people, get used to talking to people that don't know your background, don't have any expectations. And that was necessary because I had 4,400 patients in my practice, all of whom I could not talk to about a business opportunity.
Right. You're bound by the law.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. My license is canceled if I get reported. So people think because of my education or position, I had some advantage. No, I did not. I was completely starting from zero in this industry. So I said, okay, I'll do that. It's sort of like a semester at school. So I read books. I listened to other people that were successful, which this is, what we're doing here, talking about how we can become successful. And the first thing in that success is how we would approach and present to other people. And so I'm so grateful to Les that he had that skill. And I said to him after, like, he said, I was actually intimidated by you. It wasn't, I was just so intimidated.
He was sweating. You were sweating there. Yeah, absolutely.
He was intimidated. So we worked it out, and we became very successful in that business after time. But it took, I didn't, there was these things you should attend, like seminars and all that stuff. I didn't even get to one until I was in that business for 9 months or maybe even 10 months before I got to.
Right.
So what I did is I thought, okay, I got to leverage some time at the store. So I took the income I was making from the business and I hired a pharmacist part-time for Thursday nights, because that's when they were having these seminars. So on Thursday night, I could be free from my obligations at the store and I could go to these seminars and start to learn more. Now we have the advantage of Zoom. You can, recordings, YouTube, all these things that we have that we can leverage ourselves through and take advantage of somebody else's experience as well. Absolutely. Right.
But technology, if used correctly, it makes life so much easier. So much, it makes things, our ability to accomplish. You don't have to get up and go drive to a hotel or wherever they're having a seminar or event, get together and do that. You can do it anytime you want to via digitally, just like we're having a conversation right now, which is great.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to become a speaker because of my background in nutrition and so on. I became a speaker for a company for a number of years, and I went around the country. I think I was away like 200 nights of the year speaking, or 200 days of the year speaking. And I really appreciated that opportunity to teach people about nutrition and so on and so forth. So I had a lot of things happen. And then I got to speak at this very, very large event. 26,000 people were at this event, and Robert Kiyosaki was there. So Robert Kiyosaki was kind of new on the scene back then. And I was in a green room with Robert Kiyosaki. And he kind of asked me about myself a little bit. And so I told him, my education. And he said this to me, and I want to say this to every professional who's listening to this. This is what Robert Kiyosaki said to me personally. Don't let your education be an impediment to your success.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, wow, that is right. Because I've talked to, well, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, right. I'm a that, I'm educated, I'm a teacher. Well, don't let that be an impediment to a better life and success. Right. Like this is just an industry. Be upfront with yourself. You don't understand it. You have an opinion about it. Get past that. Start looking at what it's given other people who've taken it seriously, and start to learn like you invested in your education at college or whatever you invested in. If you're an apprenticeship or whatever you invested in, and if you're a high school graduate, great, we'll take you and we can train you. We can teach you skills. Because here's another thing Les said to me one day when I was talking about, Les, I'm not a sales guy. He said, are you married?
Yep.
I said, somebody bought.
Yep.
Right? Like, don't tell me. Like somebody bought. They bought into that. Do you have kids? Yeah, you're selling all the time. You're negotiating all the time. You don't think you're selling? Well, come on, right. You've got kids. So it's perspective, right?
Without a doubt.
So that's kind of my point. I want to just emphasize these points for people. Number one, if you've never been in the industry, or if you have and you've had a bad experience, that's okay. You can have a good one.
Right.
Lots of people have a bad experience at their job. It doesn't mean they change careers or professions. They go look for a different experience. but be honest, right? If you've never really had the opportunity to learn this industry and what it can provide for you in time leverage, in management, in people skills. I had an anesthetist get involved in the business with me, and he had a great line. He said, "You know what an anesthetist is? It's a person that's half asleep. No, it's a person that's half awake, keeping people half asleep."
Okay.
And his point behind that was that that's how most people are. Like, they'll have an opinion about something, but they don't really know anything about it, and they're not really
Right.
opening to learn, right?
They heard
So
from someone, so and so on what this really is, and they don't have really true knowledge about it.
that's right. Or my aunt or uncle tried that or this or that. Look, stop. We're talking about you and your life. If you examine your life like I did and said, I need to make a change, I need to learn a skill that I don't have, which is time. This is ultimate time management. This is really the ultimate goal of this business. There's a guy who wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, if you really want those things, this is an incredible time. And now we have technology. What a super incredible time to be involved in a home-based, worldwide, global industry.
Right.
It's just the right time. So, number one, get past your biases, take a real honest look, and talk to the people that are succeeding. Not the people that, everybody's got a sad story. Like
Yeah.
I've got pharmacists. I graduated with a pharmacist. Her first shift, they got held up. She never practiced another day in her life.
Wow.
So everybody has had experiences in the profession that they've chosen. We've all had bad experiences, but
Right.
you know what? Let's not let our past be our future. Let's be open. So if you're a professional, be open. Don't let your education get in front of your success. And you could really, as I have proven for myself and my family, you can have a different life. So I just want to put this in context for you. So as a pharmacist working 100 hours a week, I did an upgrade just recently. That person who owned that store was working about 80 hours a week. She had not been on a vacation with her family for many years because she's got the store.
Right.
That was me. We didn't have a family vacation for 11 and a half years. So nothing's changed. I got involved in this industry, which I didn't know anything about. I learned about it. Don and I have been on 31 cruises. We visited 27 countries. We have had a lifestyle that I would never have got in my profession. That and ongoing residual income, that can go on past me, can be passed on to my family. None of my kids wanted a drugstore, believe me. They would sell it in a heartbeat, get rid of it. So there's just a lot of things that are available to somebody who's open-minded, willing to understand. I don't know, I need to learn. And that would be my message for the people.
Absolutely. It's a phenomenal message, especially now in this day and age, these challenging times we're living in. I mean, everything is so topsy-turvy, upside down, inside out. You don't know what to expect. And I truly believe that, in this, everyone worries about, well, the economy, what's the government doing? What's this doing? You have to worry about your own economy, your own world, and create that. And this industry, especially with Modexus, gives you that ability to do that. You're in control. You're the captain or the pilot of your ship, so to speak, versus just being blown around by the wind and the waves, and however the wind blows, kind of thing. So very, very important message that you've provided here today. So I appreciate that very much. So let's fast forward a little bit to now. You are now part of Modexus. You're also a esteemed member of our Product Research Council. Tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be, and some of the things that you're working on and looking forward to doing.
So if we go back to my pharmacognosy training, right, which is taking plants and evaluating for their medicinal value, as you said, there's a resurgence of that whole concept. Dr. William Lee, who's out talking just about food and the value of food and what you can get from food. There's a lot of people that are now addressing this whole concept that, if we can improve our diet, we can improve our life. And that's true. Then there's a lot of people that have made dietary choices like vegan, and I'm not going to criticize that one, but they all understand in any dietary choice that you make where you're leaving a food group out, you're going to miss the nutrition from that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the things that we look at when we're looking at the Modexus products is how can we cover some of those bases that people might be missing out on if they're on a particular. So all of our products are any diet you're on, they're dietary friendly for that. We stick to plant materials. So vegans, if they're in that camp, they're not worried about that. But we look for ingredients that have scientific evidence behind them. Not there's a lot of things people say, oh, I'm drinking celery juice, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Something
Right.
It's a fad right now. What we look for ingredients is is there been any clinical trial? Is there anything that has been looked at from a scientific point of view that gives us confidence to put that ingredient in our product? And I would say that is a big thing that we do here at Modexus with Dr. Charlie Rouse and myself, looking at ingredients that have that behind them. So using that part of my education, using that part of my skill, then there's a skill in putting formulas together so that they're not competing in your intestinal tract, right? That's another skill.
The synergy of them all working together.
That's right, the synergy of them working together. So that's another skill. So we're building a family of products. And the reason why glutathione or the longevity product is that the rest of the product line is built around that one. In my research over the last 20 years, I would say that glutathione is the nutritional ingredient, or that's not the right word. It's not a nutritional ingredient. It's a functional peptide in our body that is the most lacking. On a broad spectrum of the population, I could say, so I give the statistics like this X amount of 40% of people are pre-diabetic in the United States. Well, I'm just going to say this. I would say 95 or 96% of the people on this planet right now have compromised levels of glutathione.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is our main molecule for immune function, detoxification, and anti-inflammatory. And so we look at the landscape of what are we dealing with for diseases, autoimmune diseases, inflammatory diseases, some functional diseases, and there's over 150 of those diseases that have already been tested and shown to have low glutathione. So that's why we built the whole product line around optimizing glutathione first.
That's one that makes sense. It's a cornerstone of something that's really needed in this world for people to function. So that's what I love about these products is that the business is important and critical, but let's face it, the business isn't for everybody. However, I truly believe these products truly are for everybody because everybody can benefit from them. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, this has been great. And I'm excited because we're actually taking the business side of professionally developing a network into the online world through a Modexus LinkedIn Masterclass that we're getting ready to launch. And I know you're very excited to be a part of that. And that's going to be a phenomenal because what we're going to be doing is helping our Modexus advocates to literally leverage being online, but in a professional setting, on a professional platform, using professional tools to be able to reach a much larger audience and do it in a way where they can build a community. Because let's face it, it takes a community. Like you said, the size of your paycheck is the size of your network. Robert Kiyosaki said that. I mean, I've heard that the reiteration of it from multiple different sources, and it's so true. I mean, even blockchain technology is based on building networks. The networks of people, collaborating with this technology. So it's truly the true way of leveraging is through a network, one way or the other. So it's exciting that we get to do that in the Modexus community as advocates, but also in the online world, with this new Modexus Masterclass, which we'll be announcing officially next week, and we'll be going live with it in the middle of May. So stay tuned for that. We're excited to have that, and glad you're going to be a part of that as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the time today. And I'm very pleased to be able to be part of that class, and look forward to sharing with others for sure.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate your time here, helping us share on our inaugural kickoff event here with professional leverage, because that's really what it's all about. How do we leverage ourselves? So thank you, Alan, so much for being here today, and we'll be talking soon.
All right. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care. Cheers.